Okay, so this is Finance Meets Real Estate. As you guys know, we do weekly webinars every Tuesday. We have a great guest here today. It's Chris Levarek. Do you pronounce it correct?
Levarek is how I usually say it. So
okay. Yeah. So he's the managing partner of Valkyr Investment Group. It's a company with 65 million in assets under management. He's going to discuss how he built, building a platform for people to know, like, and trust you. So he's been good at doing that. He's been good at building their social media channels, their podcast, webinar, their search engine optimization for their website, etc. So he does like various aspects of the business of Valkyr investment management, and he's also he's located in so he is located in Phoenix, Arizona. He works with his brother Ashton as well, who is in Oregon. His prior background is in tech or like network infrastructure for the largest credit union in Arizona. So with that, I'm gonna pass it on to Chris. And so if you guys have any questions, do put them on the chat. We're gonna relate at the end. We're gonna have a Q&A at the end. If you feel like, if it's, if you want to speak up, that's okay as well. So yeah, I'm gonna pass it on to Chris. Thanks, Chris.
awesome. Thank you for that intro. Hi, everyone. So as mentioned, my name's Chris. I am from Valkyrie Investment Group. So yeah, we partner with a lot of investors to buy multifamily value add projects throughout the United States. Got started about 3 years ago in this business. We did our own deals. We did duplexes, quads, kind of scaled up. Started as just joint ventures. Every deal we did, we partnered with someone. But we really found out that when you are raising capital, when you are partnering with anybody, it's really about brand. It's about brand awareness, what you look like, who you want to partner with. And so that's kind of where I see a lot of investment companies, a lot of real estate companies go, is it's a marketing company first and an investment company second. And the minute you start to understand that, then that really is going to allow your business to take off, or whatever your efforts are if you're trying to find a partner. I'm not sure in the entire audience here. So I'll just talk from my background, and then hopefully you can apply it to your business or your goals, investing goals, because it's kind of the same. So I'm actually not a marketing genius. I'm an IT engineer, right? My dad had a SEO company when I was probably my high school years. He ran it for about 15 years. He did it multilingual. So he would make these pages on the website in different languages that would then link back to a website in English. And so someone searching in Chinese would then find an English website. Really smart. They were called doorway pages back in the day. And he would market that to a lot of different businesses. So I guess some of that sunk in, and we started using this, not the multilingual approach, maybe that's the next step, but we've used SEO to get traction to our website. That's called search engine optimization. And I'm kind of jumping ahead, but it's been a big key role of how we market out our brand and our services. So I guess I'll start at the beginning. How we like to display our company. It all starts with a great book. It's by Donald Miller, I believe his name is. If you haven't read it, it's called My Story Brand. Really great book. If you're ever looking to do business, make friends, sell a product, whatever it is, it's about understanding who you're talking to. It's your avatar. So who's your audience, right? And once you figure that out, then you can create the right message. And that's kind of what we try to do. I'm going to share my screen actually right now. So we tried to take that into effect when we create our website. So if you read the book, it's a lot about a simple message. It's about knowing your audience. So first you start by trying to know your audience. In our case, we are partnering with other busy professionals like us. I have a W-2 job, and yet I'm buying apartment complexes with hundreds of other investors. And so we're looking for other investors who don't necessarily want to, jump into waterfalls and IRRs and really complicated deals. They're looking to understand real estate investing, make it simple, and they're busy. That's the key. They have a W-2 job, they have a passion, a purpose. They have a family. They have maybe they don't want to know real estate investing. Maybe they don't want to learn it. And so we're trying to make that message simple. So that's the key in marketing. Make it simple. Someone can read it. In My Story brand, it's all about, they talk about digesting that message in a couple looks. You want it so easy a caveman can understand it. And so that's what our kind of website is doing here. We're trying to keep it very simple. There's one button. There's not 20 buttons to go to multiple different areas. Simple message, and we're targeting busy professionals. So that's the audience. So first, know your avatar, right? And then create a platform. This is a platform. This is a website. You don't need to do it with a website, but you need something to display that message. So some people make a podcast. Some people can make just a profile, right? Let me see if I can move this. This is my LinkedIn profile. One of the easiest platforms to make. And when I say platform, I mean the platform's built in LinkedIn, but you're making your, I guess, splash page or your what is communicating the message for you, that message you want to share. So LinkedIn is a great one, because as soon as you build this profile, you don't even need a website. If I'm trying to go find a partner and I look up that partner's name, say that's me, disregard, but LinkedIn is great because this, look, I'm ranked right at the top, my LinkedIn profile. This is going to do leaps and bounds for building those partnerships, relationships. And you can use LinkedIn right away just to make that start of your platform where you share your message to your audience, right? You share that simple message. You don't have to go make a website. If you do make a website, it can make it better.
Yeah, Chris, if I may interject, so just a question, like if we hold a little bit on the avatar part, and no marketing expert. So like, is it something that so let's say you guys have, so the busy professionals, so people who are interested in real estate, but they don't necessarily need to know all the complexities, technicalities, like you said, IRR, et cetera, or even less around it themselves. But is that, do you believe like that it should be narrower than that? Like sort of, does the avatar need to be more focused, or having something like defined, even if it's broad, like here, sounds like is good enough? Or like, what is your experience? Like, is it recommended to focus on, like some people focus on, I don't know, medical professionals, or perhaps somebody more like similar to yourself of sort, maybe, or that's not necessary really for the definition of an avatar?
That's a great question. I mean, obviously, as you get more narrow, you're going to need to have a really good relationship with that type of person. Why would they, I guess, relate to you if it's a medical professional? And it helps if you're a medical professional, right? There's really power in having that in-market knowledge and getting really narrow, because building the relationship, you go general, you need to work on the relationship a lot more. You go narrow, that relationship's much easier to build. And it's a great question to bring up is, why do people, if you want to talk about relationships, why do people raise capital from friends and family? The relationship's built, and you could say that market, that avatar is really specific. You can't get more specific than your family. You can only go so far. Your family is a tree, right? So it's very specific. Even your friends, you could say, my friends, there are people I know. So it's very specific, and you're limiting your market, or you're limiting your outreach, I guess you could say. Even you have only so big outreach. So when you get specific, relationship easier. When you get general, relationship to build is a little more difficult. So that's the trade-off. I would say, in my opinion, I have a much easier time talking with IT engineers to raise capital than I do if I'm just, maybe I'm talking to a dentist, right? Because there's a lot more stretch to get to that connection with the dentist. I have to rely on, we both have jobs, we both have families, I have to find the connections elsewhere, not just the profession. So we go general, but I would argue, in both cases, if you went more narrow, you're going to have an easier time communicating your message because that relationship is already pre-established to a degree. So what else? So that's key. So building a platform, whether you build a podcast, you start with your LinkedIn profile. I also have a Bigger Pockets profile. So people, and I'll go more into Bigger Pockets, but people can see on my profile, this in itself is a platform. My company, they can see all the deals we've done. And a big part, and I'm sure we've kind of covered this, or maybe you've heard it, right? Know, like, and trust. When you're raising capital, when you're marketing in any business, you want the person you're talking to know you, like you, and trust you. And part of that starts with building some kind of platform that communicates a message and lends credibility to what you do. And so you need that platform first. So website, podcast, bigger, some kind of social media platform. I won't show my Instagram because it's not very good. I like the LinkedIn and the Bigger Pockets myself. But if we go from the website, we have credibility because we have written an ebook. People can see we are talking about real estate, and we've written an ebook. That takes time to produce and time to write. So there's credibility there. Now, this is just basically a simple message on what we do. Remember, in My Story brand, they said, keep it simple. There really is one button here. It looks like a lot, but it's a 4-step process to investing in real estate. And again, we're telling that message. What do? We work with busy professionals. We want to keep repeating it. We don't want to. A big thing about platforms is sometimes people just overload information on someone. And that's very confusing for someone coming to a website. They don't necessarily want to hear how great a company you are, at least not up front. They just kind of want to hear the same message. And if it aligns with them, they'll move on. If it doesn't, they'll leave your website really fast. So they don't have time to read 25 paragraphs on how great a company you are. And that's a big part of that book. So I recommend that book again. But so we communicate the message, but here again, credibility, your platform. We're talking about the different podcasts we've been on. So credibility is big. Know, like, and trust in any platform. And you'll hear this in people's podcasts. They'll talk about the deals they're doing, or they'll talk about they're talking with all their network. They're talking about things that lend them credibility, and they're even sharing personal stories so that the listener starts to, like this character, like this company. And that's all part of that using that platform to establish a relationship. Here's some information. This is we're talking about donating to charities. Again, we're forming that relationship with people, and a blog, we're building that credibility. So that's kind of the first part I want to discuss, is how we go about building our platform. We're trying to communicate a simple message, align with an avatar. We know our audience, and then we're building credibility around, what we do and who we are, so that people align with that message, and they start to trust and know who we are, and then take the next step. But I'll stop there. If there's any questions about kind of the platform piece, about the marketing, marketing your platform. All right. I will proceed on then. So the next piece, of course, is, do you want me to go into SEO now, or I can go to that next, I guess?
Yeah, actually, I think that would be good. So let's say if you take, like your website as an example. So you went over the content kind of, and like building trust with like some of the pieces, like the donation part and etc. But so how do you manage your, I guess, like, what do you call it? Like sort of links and like backlinks, right? And all that stuff that is kind of like the backbone of SEO, right? And what is your, like your approach to that?
Yeah, so SEO, search engine optimization. So what you'll see often in real estate is a lot of people jump on social media really quick to market themselves, which is good. Social media being like, let's say LinkedIn. I really like LinkedIn because your profile can be very professional. However, if you look at like Instagram, we have an Instagram, obviously, but I have my own personal Instagram, and people will use social media to market to others that, align with their message. Personally, I find that, why would you choose social media where it's going to take you, let's say you have 20,000 followers, that's a lot of followers, right? And that takes a while to get. People have to like what you're putting out, the content you're putting out, subscribe to it in YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is. Whereas you could build a website and start to rank on keywords. So keywords being words people type into Google, and you're reaching millions of people, right? Versus just 20,000. And you could say, well, the 20,000 are more aligned with me. They understand my message. And there's an argument to be made there that because they've clicked like and they're following, they're much more already tapped into your network. However, I would say the reach with a website is probably even bigger if you can just figure out the SEO piece of it. And SEO is complicated. There's a lot of people that hire out for it. It's that algorithm that Google's using. So when I say type, a keyword here, what comes up, right? That's what I'm looking for. So if I say real estate investing, so websites that rank, that basically use this keyword in their website somewhere, they will have, they'll rank right here. They'll be the first couple listings, and that's where you want to be. So if someone was looking for a real estate investing article, book, whatever it might be, they're going to find these new websites. So I'll tell an easy strategy for it. So SEO can be complicated. I advise getting a subscription. You can get a trial subscription to something like Moz.com. I think like it's a month trial subscription. They have a whole training session of videos. It'll take you less than a couple hours to go through it all. But basically it'll walk you through exactly how to do it. And what it does is it'll point at your website and tell you, how you're doing, all the good stuff, all the bad stuff. Another one, let me see if I can remember. I just started using this one. So see if it still has my login, but this is another one where you can start a trial and it will point at your website and tell you all the backlinks, all the keywords you're ranking on, how you're doing. And I find this can be very easy to give you kind of that head start and see how you're doing. You don't need to keep this forever. Maybe turn off the trial once you get a good handle of what's going on. But in basic, it's just going to come here, scan my website, see if I have any dead links, see if I am ranking well on certain keywords. And the way I rank on keywords, and again, you want to rank on keywords because when people search them, that's what they're going to find. The way I rank on keywords, and you'll hear other people do this too, is I write a blog. So every week I'm putting content on my website, and that's a big part of SEO is your website live? Is it fresh? Because Google is trying to figure out if you're a real person, if you're not just a bot, if you're just, if you're helping the internet, basically. It sounds funny, but that's what they're doing. And if you are putting out fresh content and that content matches, meaning it's in similar to itself. So let's say you're not writing like, about, fixing cars one day, and then the next day you're writing about, I don't know, swimming in the pool or something. You're not going to rank very well like that. It has to be, the website has to have fresh content that's in correlation with each other, and then you are using keywords that you want to be ranked on. That's really the key. So, and the thing like these tool sets, I'll put these in the chat, but Moz or this Ahrefs.
Yeah, Chris, sorry to interrupt. So just to clarify, I mean, this kind of key, right? So the key principle is really would be extremely hard to rank on something like, okay, your own website on its own, right? Because there's no like meaningful like keyword you could possibly tie to what is going to be like real estate investment firm or something, right? But that's too difficult. So it's like writing very specific, meaningful articles with sort of, I believe what the principle is like having the specific keywords or similar like synonyms of them, et cetera, in the heading and like subheading, et cetera, within the text of the post. And so, sort of ranking for those and then drawing people to your business from that. That's being the general approach to having a blog on your website, right? So is
100%.
that an accurate assessment? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very, very much.
And
Yeah.
then,
So
Ahrefs. So that's sort of, it's known like kind of like for backlinks kind of data, right? So that's, I believe, the main function there. And Moz is sort of more of, they publish like domain authority metrics and the page authority metrics. And it's okay, like to the benefit of the audience, okay, as you get more backlinks to a given page or to your domain, then that domain starts to gain authority over the internet. And that's a function of backlinks and maybe like specifically how the activity flows, etc. Like your page or domain gets a certain authority. So let's say it could be an authority of 40, a domain authority of 40 is bigger than, it's a fairly established website. And then you have like something like, I don't know, like really established website, like with an authority of 80, etc. So that like just like some background. And there are other tools as well, right? There's like SEMrush. There are multiple tools that help you like, and there's like Google, used to be called Google Keyword Planner, right? Where you could get like different, sort of statistics on what are the search volumes for different keywords and etc. So how do you decide what keywords to rank for once you pick an article? If we pick impact investing here, for example, making a difference to real estate. So what were your keywords you aim to rank for? Like what was your target? How do you tie it to your target audience, etc.?
That's you summarized it pretty well. There are a lot of tools out there, and I think it's the one you find the easiest to use and then provides you the most value. I'm in IT, so not necessarily buying the most expensive product helps. You want to buy one that you find the easiest to use and adds you the most value. I've tried Moz. I'm on Ahrefs at this point because I want to try backlinks out. But basically, let's take an example here. I'm just going to use this article because I'm not entirely sure how this is ranking right now. So when I write a blog, it's exactly like he was just saying. You pick a certain keyword that you want to rank on, and my method for picking keywords is typically and I use the tool to tell me. So, I go into one of these tools like Moz or Ahrefs, and I can see what is going to be hard to rank on. So, for example, they'll say if you took the word real estate's going to be really hard to rank on because it's two words, and the smaller the word, the smaller words or word. Are typically already going to be really competitive. So there's going to be big sites like Investopedia or Forbes, for example, that might be ranking really high on them. So for the chance that a brand new website, getting exposure on that keyword is going to be pretty low. So typically I look they'll tell you a difficulty score on the keyword, and they're knowing that because they're comparing it to how many people are ranking on it. So they're gonna say this keyword is a difficulty score of 30. I typically target 30 or lower. Anything over 30, and the higher it goes, the harder it gets to rank on it. So I target 30 or lower. And then you also want to see volume, how many people are searching for that keyword. And I'll target, anywhere from, if I'm really ambitious, or I want an easy day, I'll do 100 to 500 searches a month. If I want a hard keyword, I'll look for 1,000 to 5,000 in volume a month. Typically, the more volume, the more competitive. Typically, the smaller keyword, the more competitive. So in this case, my keyword on this blog is multifamily real estate group And so when you rank a page, and a blog is really just a website page. So if I click this, we'll see a couple of things. So it's just a page. We'll see that the word I'm trying to rank on is in the URL. That's step one. Put it in the URL. Step two is put it in the title. It's in the title. Yeah, if you look right here, it's in the title up here. So I'm putting it throughout the page that I'm wanting to rank on. And if you look down here somewhere, I'm sure it's in here. We could look multifamily. I know sometimes I go crazy and put it in there too much. You don't want to just spam it though. A lot of people at some point used to just paste white content of words to put, all these words in there, and you will get flagged. So you don't want to make it abusive. You want to, put, I'd say no more than 5 to 10 throughout, but you definitely want it in the title. And then you're going to want it in the description. So when you make a webs page, they're going to ask you, what's your title? What's your description? And, they used to ask what your keywords are. They don't do that anymore. But they will ask what your alt tags are. So, if you opened it up, you would see an alt tag in here. An alt tag is just text behind an image. And that can help too. So you can put that keyword as an alt tag to an image, a description to the image. That's what an alt tag is generally. So you're going to want to put that keyword throughout. And what happens then is if I have that keyword good enough and I have a good website and I am talking about content that's similar to each other, and I don't have any like really bad issues, like I'm not, a bunch of bad links, or I'm not redirecting to illicit websites or something. I'm respecting other Google website rules. And you can find those out by buying one of those tools, obviously, and they'll tell you what might be wrong with your site, like Moz or Ahrefs or SEMrush, like you were saying. So let's say you do all that, you write your page, you put the keyword in there, and you can just come in here and, without any tool, test how you're ranking. It's much easier with the tools. You can use things like Google Analytics, which will help too. Google Analytics is a whole service that connects to your website and give you more data and stuff like that. So you don't feel like you have to spend money to know all this. There are ways to do it for free. It's just much easier, I find, to have someone do it for you. But yeah, so if I'm wanting to see how I'm ranking on multifamily real estate group, so I come down, right? And, this is the first ad. They put the ads up front. You can't do anything about that unless you pay. But, we would come down and look where we're ranking. So in this case, and this fluctuates, don't think it's static. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're 6 from the top on the word multifamily real estate group. And you can see that article is right here, that blog. If I click this, that's that page. So that's how you rank on a keyword. You write an article, you put it in the title, the description, you put it in the content of the page, and then you wait and see how you did. You want to select a keyword typically that's not super competitive. Like I said, you find one. I like to choose things that are under 30. Difficulty score, I use those tools, tell me what the difficulty will be. But yeah, the four words is typically easier. And then, I look for volume too. I don't like to see if something's been searched for like 10 times a month. Is it really worth your time? Probably not. You want to get the most bang for your buck, especially as a small business or small entrepreneur. You want just enough where you're below the big guys, but just enough where it's worth your time to write that article, So
let's say, Chris, how much of the current ranking is based on maybe domain authority being built in advance? And do you take like certain steps to build that separately from sort of writing the articles and, or you just sort of write the articles, keyword optimize them, and then gradually build up the website's domain authority with whichever, call it, backlinks would go to those individual pages? Or do you do like a sort of separate marketing to the domain itself and trying to like having linked on third-party websites, like through partnerships, be it, et cetera, like trying to get like a quality link to your either whichever article or the general domain. I assume
Yeah,
the article.
a great point. So we have focused mainly on the keyword thus far, but we're focusing on domain authority at this quarter specifically. And that's a whole nother strategy. So when, having a good domain authority gets you ranked higher as well in certain searches, certain keywords in the website. So say there's 10 people in real estate, the better domain authority you have, the more likely you're going to see that content before, say, someone who's ranked lower. The higher number, the better in domain authority. But typically how you get a better domain authority, again, have a good website, rank on the keywords, don't do anything illicit, but also you're going to use backlinks, which is part of the whole solution that he was just talking about. What you do is you take an article like this, and backlinks are when a website links to your website. So it's not when you link to a website. In that case, you're helping that person rank higher. So like if I wrote an article and I link to Forbes, like they don't need my help. It helps my article, but it's not going to help my domain authority to link to them. If they link to me, on the other hand, that's very good. So one strategy people use is they'll write an article, and you may have gotten this in emails before where people say, hey, I want to write an article for your website. Typically why they're doing that is they'll send you this article link and this content, and they'll say, hey, or they don't have to give you this link. They'll give you a link to their website and just send you this article in a Word doc. And they'll say, hey, you can post this on your website, just backlink to me, just link to my website. And by doing so, it helps if they have some kind of prominence. So like, let's say if I'm, sometimes you'll see people do it with blog sites. So if I took medium.com and I publish consistent articles and and I don't know if Medium's a good example, but I'm linking back to my website. Medium's kind of well known as a blog platform. And there's a lot of people searching in, for articles, and Medium pops up in SEO. So you could say they have a higher domain authority than I do. So that would be someone maybe I want to target to have them post my article or have my article. You'll see a lot of people in real estate do Forbes, and it's because Forbes has a lot of notoriety and credibility and great domain authority, and they'll boost your rankings. But that's how you do it. You send an article typically to someone, different publishers, different news media streams, different websites that hopefully have a better domain authority than you. If you just send it to your brother or sister who has their website, that doesn't help you. It's got to, unless they have a really good ranking website.
That's so that they sort of post you as a co-author on their website, and then link to your general domain, or like what is the strategy there? Like they would sort of post you on the platform, like your actual content.
Yeah, they would post the content. It's probably better to post the content. But even if they just have a link to your website, that's good enough. It's a backlink to your website. And if they have a higher domain authority, Google's combing with their spiders and saying, oh, well, these websites are all pointing to Valkyrie Investment Group. This is a website that is offering good information and should be ranked higher. It's basic gist of it. But I've even heard of people, what they'll do is they'll write an article, and I'll just share our article that I wrote not too long ago, what we're doing this with.
Let's say for the first strategy where you just post your own blog articles, like how long does it take until they start ranking on like the one you showed, let's say? I mean, it depends on the keyword difficulty, obviously, etc. But like initially for the first ones, I assume maybe they don't rank at all, and then it kind of starts picking up gradually, or what's the dynamic there?
It's interesting. I think different keywords rank differently. I've had some never show, and really frustrating. They just don't ever rank, and it's because they were too competitive. And even though I did everything right, they didn't show. So I can't remember which one I did that on, but just never came up. I think it was like real estate passive income, and others will show up in a week. I'll have data
Yeah.
within a week.
But
Yeah.
let's say for a new domain that one just started, is it feasible for, let's say, relatively easy keywords to still show up in a week, or that's going to take more time then?
Yeah, you're right. If it is a new domain, it will take a couple of weeks for your content on your website already to be combed and added to the indexes of Google. But if you're putting new content, I've been putting content for 3 years, so I don't actually know the comparison of, at this point. Google probably already knows about these. I have at least 3 years of blogs out, so one every week. So it probably has a good idea of the content that I have. So I don't actually know the answer to that one. That's a good question, though. Let me see if I can pull up a report, though. I think I do have a report from Moz to show you what it looks like. And I'm not trying to sell Moz or anything, but it was one I was using for a while.
Moz is really great.
Yeah, it was a good one.
I really like their website ranking metrics, obvious, domain authority, etc. It's pretty great.
Yeah, and what you can get, I mean, inside tip here, this is going to cost. It's a free trial for a month, but then I think you can so it'll be like $100 or something after that a month, which is expensive. But you can actually downgrade if you pretend like you're leaving, and it'll be $50 a month, which I think is acceptable. Obviously, the less you subscribe and pay for, the less you're going to get. So the features, they'll limit you on how many keywords you can track and stuff like that. But you'll get these reports, which this is what it looks like. Like I said, monthly volume, 51, 100. These are the people searching per month. And then they'll tell me where we're ranking on that. And they'll also tell me what page we're ranking on. So very, useful to take the guesswork out of how you're doing. It can also be very motivating if you're just starting at this and you need help. It's not hard. I'd say if you are going to do it yourself, $50 a month, $100 a month, people pay, $1,500 to $10,000 a month for this kind of stuff. So it might take a little research to get better at it, but very, a lot of stuff. Here's, they'll tell you the issues, right? So Google doesn't like when you have issues on your page, and very useful to know how your website's doing. You can do misspelling. This probably won't show misspellings, but you can have broken links forever on your website. You never know about it. So you can see when I started earlier this year, I had a lot of issues, had to correct them all. So, but yeah, what else? Any other questions around SEO?
Do you guys have any questions on that? I asked quite a few. So if you like, we can talk on social media more. I think that's been great.
You use LinkedIn, right? Or which one's your preference?
I use LinkedIn, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and this is good too. I think My Story brand talks about funnels, and I think we were going to talk about funnels. But remember, everything's got to have a purpose in your business, in your relationships, in your partnerships that you're trying to establish. So decide what, you decide your avatar, your audience, you decide your message, what are you going to talk about? What are you trying to connect to about? What are you trying to sell? Yes, but what are you trying to connect on? And then what happens, So if you can see here, I'll go a little closer here. So here, what we're doing is we've created a funnel approach. So these are all the different platforms we're on. And I wouldn't suggest starting with this many, just go with one and do it well. If you're going to do a website, then do the website, and then, try it out for 12 months and then go into social media, or do one or two at the same time. But if you're doing Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, a podcast, bigger podcast, you're going to be overwhelmed. And chances are you're going to post one time on each every couple months, and it's not very efficient. So pick one, do it well. But in our case, we're doing all these different events, and our goal is to funnel our audience to either sign up for an ebook, schedule a call, subscribe to a newsletter, or join one of our meetups. And we do a meetup once a month. So that's the main goal. So we put content through social media and website and Bigger Pockets and all this stuff. The white, those are kind of like side. We don't really do them frequently. So then that funnels into this where we get contact info, and then we're going to do things with this contact info. So we'll probably have automations and emails that go out to mainly people who do the ebook and newsletter and mastermind, to stay in touch with them, maybe communicate our message more in depth now that they've signed up for something. We don't need to be as simple with it. Maybe we give away something free. And then the next goal is to have someone join the Valkyrie Investor Club. And so they invest in one of our deals. And so it's a very simple funnel. And it doesn't, I'm not saying this is the end all be all, but you need to have a idea of where you want to take your partnerships, your business. And that's what a funnel is supposed to do. Keep it really simple, just 1, 2, 3, and what's the end goal, right? So a lot of times you'll see websites have 5 different end goals, and it's super confusing for someone. I'll show you just as an example that, let's say this is the website. Someone can skip directly, to this endpoint. They don't have to go through these. These are called lead magnets. So lead magnet is like the step before someone commits to something. It gets their interest, and then you get into the meat and potatoes of where you're trying to take your audience. But on our website, every button on our main page goes to the same place. And there's a reason behind that. We don't want to confuse people. All these links go to the same page. And that's important when you're making a funnel. Don't make a funnel that goes in squiggly lines. You want the funnel to go to a direct path. And in our case, we're looking to help people invest in real estate. So we want that funnel to go to the easiest place, and that's joining an investor club, which we establish a relationship, on the phone with this person, but we also get information so we know what kind of investments they want to do. And so it's all a funnel approach all the way through. Every button there went to join in investor club. So that's our funnel. You can do whatever you want, but I would advise keeping it simple. Even if you go to the bottom of the page, join the club, here's another example. Oh, you have a question? We'll read this article. So this goes to a blog. Just scroll to the bottom, join the club. So again, the funnel's always going in a certain direction. And that's one thing I recommend. Social media, the same kind of way. If you start with this design. So if I'm on Instagram, where's my Instagram pushing people? Where do I want them to end up? In our case, we always drive traffic to our website. And the end goal being to join an investor club, but the person could sign up for an ebook. That's okay. That's part of the funnel. The person could join a meetup. These are temporary stages. They don't have to go to the club. They get something free. They get networking. That's fine too. But social media, what is your purpose of social media, right? Have that outlook. So in our case, Bigger Pockets. I like Bigger Pockets. It's one I like. Some people,
Sorry to interrupt. So if you can come back, let's say, to what's the color coding on your, like the initial stage of the funnel? So let's say you have the white ones you don't use so much, but then you have the red and the green and the dark and
accountability. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that's what this is. So each color represents a different person. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very big. We have about 6 people in our business. And this is a side note, but we have an accountability map, a company map. So we know what people are responsible for. And that's pretty big in a business, because initially when you start out, you might be doing all these things and probably not doing them very well. So the sooner you can, delegate roles out and grow, that's how you grow, but that's how we do it. What was I talking about? Oh, Bigger Pockets. So if you choose BiggerPockets, Instagram, LinkedIn, you're putting content, you're putting messages, you're making connections. Where do you want those? Where do you want that to go? Typically, as an example, if I'm talking with someone in LinkedIn, let's see what let's see right here. So I'm driving to the website. I'm driving to the website, or if they message me directly, I'm having them schedule a call with Calendly. So again, LinkedIn, Calendly, LinkedIn, website. It's always has a plan. I don't want to just say, hey, give me a call, random person, because that's unorganized. That's an unautomated. There's a lot of pieces that you can, when you make a funnel, you can make a lot of automations behind it that simplify your life, right? If you do things in an organized like checklist manner, then you know where the checklist broke down, which is great because then well, this person never signed up for the ebook. Why did that happen? I know that's the only way the funnel goes, so I know where to look for the problem. Maybe the ebook's broken. But if you take a random pattern every time in your funnel, you're going to be very confused on what's working or not working. And we've been there. It's very easy to do. Even better is if you can track this funnel as it happens, right? So if you can track when someone signs up for an ebook, if you can track when someone signs up for a newsletter, and social media, part of the reason I don't like social media at the end of my funnel, and some people might have that, they might have the funnel goes into make that network connection. Personally, I have no control over what LinkedIn does or doesn't do. Same with Facebook. Same with Instagram. They can change their platform in a heartbeat. Even BiggerPockets, there's restrictions. And so it's hard for me to automate pieces on the back end in those platforms. So I can't really very well know how good I'm doing very easily. There are plugins for different social media platforms, and that's a whole nother debate. But I like websites, at the back end of a funnel, because you are typically the owner of the website and you can manage a lot with the website, whereas you might be giving up a lot of that in social media. So that's why we have social media at the start. Yours could look very different. But
so sorry to interrupt. So from the pieces that you have, like where the initial sources, is the website the only one that leads directly to the last stage that happens to Investor Club in your case, or are others and everything else leads to the lead magnets, or do you have others that don't lead to the lead magnets?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, Facebook, we have a page, it goes to the website. So I guess right here, we need another button that says just website, because that's part of the funnel. But yeah, Facebook, we don't have signups for the club anywhere else. And that is where we're trying to ultimately end up. And it's not because that generates revenue, even though it says money here. It's because that's where we can do the best service. That's where our main function of our business is. So no, I'd say in every case, in BiggerPockets, I make connections and I point them to the website. In Facebook, we have a Facebook group, but it's always about signing up for the club. And a big part of that too, when someone signs up for this, I mean, there's so many automations behind it that it simplifies our life. Again, we use ActiveCampaign, and probably a little more detailed, but ActiveCampaign lets you trigger automations. Can you still see my screen? Did something funny.
Yeah.
Okay. So ActiveCampaign is just another tool in the back end. But the great thing about ActiveCampaign is you can make automations when someone signs up for something on a website, or when someone clicks something, it can trigger a lot of things to happen. So I won't jump into them all, but some things that could happen would be an email going out saying, hey, thanks for signing up. So I'm sure everyone's gotten some of those. It could be, hey, here's our Calendly link, schedule a call. We can't actually talk about an investment until you schedule a call. those are things I no longer have to do. And that's why we drive people to sign up for the club. I like to simplify it, but if I could be on Facebook all the time and LinkedIn all the time and in the group all the time, in the Facebook group all the time, then maybe there'd be a way to capture that interest and kind of like coordinate that. But we're a small team, so we try to automate what we can.
You use a virtual assistant as well to help you with some of that?
So we actually have two assistants that became a bigger part of the business, but yeah, they're paid contractor. I'd say I started with the idea of getting virtual assistants, Philippines and India and Mexico, wherever, out of US, maybe a little more affordable. A lot of great workers, a lot of great employment that can be found out there. But then I just ran into the right people. Excuse me, the right people at the right time in a meetup. And, it made sense to build a relationship in that position versus, just train someone remotely and then, once they leave, train someone else. So we ended up doing that. We have two great assistants, Olivia and Lauren, and they handle a lot of the admin and detail work. So yeah, that's been helpful, outsourcing. So I will say that. Do you use virtual assistants as well?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, super helpful. But again, in our case, what helped us the most is the right people. So doing that personality test, we do personality tests. We're big on them. That really helped selecting the right people. And then right person, right seat. We follow the book Traction very much in our business, but making that accountability map, who's responsible for which piece of this marketing funnel is key. If you don't have it automated, how do you know who to turn to when it's breaking down? And that's key. You just don't want to kind of assume that someone makes it from Bigger Pockets to the club. You want to know why they make it there. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's really great, Chris. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm open to any questions about anything. It doesn't have to be marketing. I do marketing. I mainly handle it because I'm the tech guy, but I like writing. I do all the blogs and I do a lot of stuff on Bigger Pockets. And so any questions too?
Yeah, so if you guys have questions, now is the time. Chris has been quite generous so far with his time sharing with us. So that's pretty awesome. Some great info. Like I learned a lot myself. So I'm sure others as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said it to you earlier. It's trial and error. You just see what works for you, and see what you enjoy too. Don't, if you don't like posting on YouTube, then don't do it.
Yeah.
You're not going to do it if you don't like it. You can outsource it, yeah, but if you're just starting out, do what you like. So.
Mm-hmm. Let's say from the main, yes, I still have another question. So from the main, if we take some of the platforms that are sort of maybe somewhat similar, okay, that are, let's say, Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, but not groups and not pages, but just, I guess, like your Facebook followers kind of thing, or friends, and then you have LinkedIn. And so what differences have you seen in those? Like, like some people like to use Facebook more, and there are quite few people maybe in the university who use Twitter, and there's some who use Instagram and etc. And it seems like Facebook and LinkedIn are maybe the bigger ones.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say from those, and I know you spoke more on SEO, and that's actually a great value add since very few people do. But it's from the social media, like what has been your experience as far as like differences between the platforms, or some certain platforms working for certain things, etc.
That's awesome. Yeah, awesome question, honestly, because it's been something we trialed with. I would say we have Instagram, we have Facebook, and then we have LinkedIn for personal profiles. And then we have bigger pockets for personal profiles. So what I mean by that is we have a company account for Instagram, company account for Facebook. Of course, we have our own Facebooks. But yeah, I think I prefer the professional kind of profile. That's why I like LinkedIn and bigger pockets. It's kind of like removed. I'm removed. My family's removed. I'm posting content that's helping people and like I want to talk about. I have my Facebook profile and I've connected with a lot of people about, with it on it now, but I don't necessarily use that to share business content. And I guess I'm not as good as, I'm at an apartment and I videotape Facebook Live. I don't necessarily like that. I'm kind of like a behind the scenes guy. I like doing the tech. I like being behind the scenes. So for me, Facebook, Instagram, not something I do very often. Their success, though, I've seen people do really awesome Facebook real estate groups. The connection I feel that you can make when you make that relationship about family and kids and doing hobbies, that is really powerful on Facebook. You can't do that very well on LinkedIn. You can't share, I just went mountain biking down this hill in California, or whatever. You can't do that very well. Facebook, you can do that. And if you're connected with a bunch of people who talk real estate and like mountain biking, you can make that relationship, that connection very easily. Instagram, the pictures, you got to take the picture, you got to edit it and do all. I never got into that. But I think if you have an industry or a job where you are active and you're out there, you're not just at a screen all day, you can do a lot with Instagram. I see some really cool, I think for real estate and flipping or real estate agents or Airbnb, short-term rentals, things that you can pop and add themes. And that's really, really where it shines. But for what I do, where we're buying apartments, I'm at an apartment every day. And so the Instagram, it's more about communicating kind of stuffy information about investing. And we haven't found super value with it. It's I guess we rely more on the content than the pictures. When we do go to a property, we use it. And I haven't really found too many syndication groups that are successful with Instagram. I would say Facebook, LinkedIn seem to be the place that the bigger firms are using for real estate. That's because the network connections can be huge. Facebook, they're focusing relationship, connecting on hobbies, showing your behind the scenes.
When you say Facebook for the bigger, that's Facebook pages or groups more like?
Even your personal profile.
Mm-hmm.
So even your personal profile, we make a page and we use the page to bring people into the website. We put content on there, but I think there's a lot of power in making connections in Facebook with your personal profile if you're okay with that, because again, it's building that relationship and connecting. And if I'm like, I don't know, for me, I play the guitar. So if I see someone who's an investor who plays the guitar, I'm probably more apt to talk to them than I am just the guy who's a real estate investor. It's just how it happens. And with your personal profile, you can do that very well. We do a page, we do a group. We haven't had very success with it, honestly. I'd say the page is important because it gives your brand on Facebook and you can link to it and people can see it all within the Facebook app. But does it really tell about your business and drive it? Not without a lot of work. In my opinion, you need to be putting content on there and people need to be following that page. So that's two things you got to do consistently. So, but I'd say, Facebook, LinkedIn, probably the biggest in real estate. Awesome. Instagram, probably the biggest for like flashy stuff that changes.
Okay, yeah. So before we wrap up for today, so what are deals that you guys look at? Like what states or markets, and like what's your ideal deal profile? I know you mentioned you do value add multifamily.
Yeah, so we're doing value add multifamily. We do lower risk deals. We don't do big development deals. Small value add play, big properties. Our last property was a 384 unit in Daytona, Florida. A lot of partners, but we partner with big asset management companies. So Lloyd Jones is one of our partners, over $1 billion in assets. They're huge in the Southeast. And that's the key. We're really trying to make it simple. 12% pref deals, no crazy IRR, no waterfall. It's a 12% turnover annualized 5 years. And that's what we do. We make it low risk, simple, tax benefits. At the same time, we do with those deals, we invest in charities. So when an investor invests with us, that goes right into a piece of the profit goes into nonprofits. It doesn't affect the investor returns too, which is cool.
That's awesome. What's the best way to reach to you? So it's your website? Yeah.
Website, valkyriegroup.com, VALKEERE, valkyriegroup.com. Yeah, best way. You can, of course, reach me on Instagram, or not Instagram, don't do that. LinkedIn, Facebook, Bigger Pockets, but yeah, the website's the easiest.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was really great. Thanks, Chris. And thanks
Awesome.
everyone for joining.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.